Hey everybody, Bill Sky, the database guy, and this is our third video on setting up and communicating with our Oracle database system. And what we're going to do today, this is pretty cool, what we're going to do today is that we're going to take our Oracle VirtualBox operating system where we installed Oracle 8, we installed Oracle database, we configured it, but how do you connect to it from the outside? In other words, how do you go on your Mac and dial in or connect to that virtual machine that might be on another computer, it might be on the same computer, which is what we're going to do here. So this is actually a lot of fun. Let's just get started. So one of the first things that you have to do, and I have my Oracle 8 up here running, one of the first things that you have to do is that you have to make sure that you install the firewall configuration tool. And for those of you who don't know what a firewall is a way to stop people, hackers, somebody coming into your server and getting access to everything. So what it does is it monitors each port, and a port is a communication tunnel through the TCP/IP protocol. Sometimes they call it the IP protocol. It's a way to get into the computer, and a firewall, if you say I don't want people to be able to get in through this port, the firewall will stop them. It'll actually stop all communications. So what we need to do is we need to open up the firewall ports for Oracle, and that's 1521. So the best way to do that is I'm going to go up to Activities. I'm going to go to the terminal, and it may already be installed on this one, but we'll see. I'm going to type sudo dnf install -y firewall config. Type in my password. Okay, so I already have it installed here. That's great, but if it wasn't installed on your Oracle, go ahead and install it, and then we're going to configure it. Now, before we configure it, I want to show you what the problem actually is. So I'm going to go to my documents folder where I put those downloaded script files, and I'm going to type start free oracle db.sh. Now this is one of the scripts that will connect you into the Oracle database, and I'm going to type password, and it says it can't connect. There's no listener. And I don't know why it's looking at 127.0.0.1, but notice it's trying to connect with 1521. Now the reason for this is because it's stopped. The Oracle server is stopped. So I'm going to press Control-C and press Enter. So to start the server, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type sudo systemctl start oracle free 23c. Now if you're not using the free version of Oracle, that's going to be a little bit different, but we're using the free, so that's what we're going to type in. And it actually is going to take a few minutes, maybe not a few minutes, but it's going to take a little while because it has to start up all of the apps, all of the applications in the background. And so now if I go ahead and I try to log in, I'm in. So you can see the you can see how the communication with the server is now active. Now that's on the Oracle Linux version. But how do I get out? How do I, from the outside of that operating system, get in? Well, let me quit out of that. I went ahead and I installed that firewall config utility. So I'm going to go to Activities. I'm going to type firewall, and there it is right there. So I'm going to press Enter, and it's going to ask you for your password. And so what you need to do here, there's a lot of stuff here, but it's really not that difficult. What you're going to do is you're going to make sure public is selected, and then you're going to click on ports. And what you're going to do is you're going to click Add. You're going to type the Oracle port number, make sure TCP is selected, and click OK. Now also do that for the UDP protocol. So those are two protocols that can be used when communicating with this. Now that's using the runtime. That means this boot. Now if I were to reboot my computer, that would no longer be there. So this is like the temporary. The runtime is kind of like the temporary. So I'm going to drop down configuration, go to permanent, and I'm going to add those again. Now you only have to do this once, and you normally do this when you configure your server. And that pretty much should be it. There's no file save, there's nothing like that. So it should now work. Okay, great. So I'm just going to leave this up here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up my browser. And there's a really nice little app that you, oh, one other thing, forgot this. You want to enable the Oracle to start automatically every boot. And the way that you do that is you type sudo systemctl enable and then the instance name of your Oracle server. And what enable will do is it'll say that there's there's some native service. Don't worry about it. It actually enables it, and now every time you boot your Linux, your Oracle 8 Linux, it will actually start up. So that's cool. That's like an auto start. So I'm going to bring up my browser here, and I'm going to type dbeaver download. Now dbeaver database or data beaver, it's a really nice little application. And go to download, and go ahead and download. Now if you're on Windows, you can do that. If you're on Mac OS, you can do that. That's what I'm going to do. And if you're on Linux, you can select the Debian if you're on Ubuntu, or you can select the RPM if you're on Fedora or CentOS. Now you're doing this on the host computer. You're not downloading this here. I mean, you can if you want. You can download it on your Oracle 8 VM guest. But I'm going to download it and I'm going to install it on my host computer, the computer that's running the Oracle 8 in a window. So you can go ahead and click on that and just go ahead and install it. It did download a file in my downloads, but I already have this installed. I think I already have this installed. Let me make sure. Yep, I already have it installed. So it's the community edition, no big deal. It doesn't ask you for money. It doesn't, it might ask you for, I don't know. I've never had it ask me for anything. So, it's pretty non-invasive. So I'm going to go ahead and start that up. All right, here we go. Okay. So I actually do already have a couple of connections here, so let me actually delete those so I can look like what you see. Okay, great. So let me see, what am I looking at? All right. So what you need to do to connect to your Oracle virtual guest server, you need to click this little plus button up here. When you click on this, it asks you what driver you want to install, or what is the database you want to go to. And this thing supports all of them. I mean, it really does. It supports a lot of them. And you can see right here, Oracle. So I'm going to click next on that. Now, it's going to know what to ask you. So it's going to ask you, like, what is the host IP address, or what is the host name? What is the database? Well, we don't know what the host name is. That's our first problem, is that we have to find out what the IP address or the host name is. So I'm going to go back to my Oracle client here, or my Oracle guest, and I'm going to type ifconfig. And what this is going to do is it's going to display the configuration of the IP protocol. And there could be a lot here. There could be just a few things. On VMware, there's only like 3 things, but on VirtualBox, it looks like there's more. And what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to find an address, something like this. There's another one right here. You want to ignore this 127.0.0.1, or you want to ignore something that doesn't have an INET entry. So 10.0.2.1.5. So I'm not really sure which one of these. I think this is the one that we want to ignore, but this one right here, or this one right here, I think it's the ENP one. That's the one we want to write down. So I'm actually not going to write that down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move my connection, and in the host I'm going to type that IP address. Okay, so we're going to try that. Now that might not work, so we might have to use the other one. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I think that is the one, but let's see. So under database, we're going to put in free PDB1. We want to make sure that it says service name when we do that. Okay, you can drop it down and go to SID, but we want to use service name because we want to use the Oracle service. We want to use that instance. 1521 is our port that Oracle communicates through. And under username, if you set it up, if you set up the OT user ID like I showed you in the last video, you type in the OT username and then the password. And now I'm going to click this Test Connect button. And oh my goodness, it worked. Now, what happens if you type in a different one, a different IP address? Let's put in that 122.1. Let's do the test connection. Yeah, you might get this strange It just does, it never ends. It's looking for that IP address. Well, that IP address happens to be a virtual one on VirtualBox, and it doesn't actually allow me to communicate with it from my host operating system. It's just used to get onto the internet. And that's why we added a bridged and a NAT version or network connections. So I'm going to click on stop there. And let's just go back. It was, what was it, 192.168.168? We're going to click test connection, and there we go. All right, so I'm going to click finish. And let me move this up over here. Okay, so now I don't like this name, so I'm going to right click on this and say edit connection. I'm going to click on general, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to say Oracle 8 database 23C VirtualBox, and I'm just going to click OK. So now we have a much better name, and I'm going to expand it. I'm going to expand schemas. I'm going to expand OT, and I'm going to expand tables, and you can see all of the tables, the containers that actually contain the data. If I click on this, I can expand it. I can look at the columns of the table by just double clicking it. I can also click over here on data, and I can actually look at the data, and it's downloading a whole bunch. So those might not be all of them, but that might be quite a few of them, and that's all the data that's in the table. So I have been able to now I could do this on another computer somewhere, as long as I'm on the same network. I could actually connect with my Oracle database. So if I want to write a Windows program that uses Oracle, this is how I could do it, because Oracle even says install our database on our Oracle 8 Linux, and then you can access it remotely from another computer. Now there's all kinds of other things that you need to do if you want your Oracle database to be accessible to somebody out on the internet. You're going to have to get a URL, you're going to have to get a name off the internet. It's a big pain in the neck. You're going to have to get a static IP address, something like that. So that's a completely different discussion of how to do that. But if you're on a Mac, if you're on Windows, and you have Oracle running in a VM guest, this is how you access that server. And that's the video for today. So we have our Oracle 8 Linux, we have Oracle installed on it. We now have on my main computer. I could even go to another computer and connect to it, as long as I know that IP address and as long as that other computer is on the same network. So all right, so that is our third and last setup discussion for Oracle. Hope to see you in the next video.